In this video, I'm going to review my selling experience of 2022 as a full-time Lego seller, looking at the highs and lows and things that went right, things that didn't go right, and things that could have gone better. I did this previously for the 2021 year, and I'll leave a link below for a comparison against that video. As always, you can expect a full and honest review of the year, warts and all. And if you have any questions, just leave them below and I'll do my very best to answer them. Now, I'll follow the same format as last year, and I'm going to break it down into three main areas, those being essentially the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'll put a little summary at the end. So let's get on with it and start with the good. So the major thing for me this year was the expansion of my store, which came as a result of a mammoth acquisition. I bought a huge Bricklink store, formerly known as Brickpickers UK. If you've been watching my vlogs, this won't come as any surprise, but this had a major impact on the year in so many ways. It's unbelievable. The opportunity to buy the store came at a point in the year when I was at my lowest, to be honest. Sales were awful. I wasn't making enough cash each month to grow the store significantly and invest in new stock. And I was really lacking a lot of motivation and really questioning, the way forward, to be honest. And I don't want to say too much about the acquisition here because I intend to make a video about the acquisition in the future. But it's safe to say I felt it was too good an opportunity to miss out on. It did come at a high expense though, and wasn't without its own risks. And you have to realize that, when I bought this store, the store was twice the size of my own existing store. It had an enormous amount of uncatalogued stock, which included 350 kilos of bulk Lego. So you can appreciate the huge undertaking that this was. Logistically, it was a challenge. I didn't have space for the entirety of the store at my premises, so had to look at ways of storing it, and ended up, as many of you will know, by obtaining a container to store the bulk of it in. Lots of subscribers thought I was crazy. I got lots of comments about how the hell am I going to fit all of this in to my existing space, and that was a concern of mine, but proved really to be somewhat unfounded, to be honest. So let's talk about the reorganization a little bit. If I was to fit all of the additional stock into the room, it was absolutely essential that I was able to make the most of the room I had available. Out went all of the used bulk that I had in the room and any other items that were unsorted. I moved any remaining sealed sets up to my second Lego room, which is an upstairs back bedroom that we use, and I began moving lots of the furniture out. Now, the furniture was replaced by a row of storage drawers around the room, and amazingly, these came with the purchase of the Brickpickers store. They're made by the Really Useful Box Company, and they're their scrapbook range of drawers. And I'll try and include some links below because I constantly get questions about them. The scrapbook drawers are unique in that they can fit a set of drawer inserts that are sold separately, but when you buy them, then you can create 15 compartments within each of the drawers, and they're 15 sizable compartments, so they're really useful for storing items in bulk. Now, I also got a second set of organizers, which you can see behind me, and they also came from the Brickpickers store purchase. Now, these are individual drawers that can be clipped together to fit any space available, and I quickly created two large banks of these, as you can see, but I still to this day haven't even started filling them. So I did go through quite a reorganization of the room in order to start filling things. I wanted to make sure that I had lots of capacity, or at least maximize the capacity for when I started to integrate the parts into the store. Now, the approach I took to the integration has been pretty methodical. It is quite time consuming, and I knew it would be, but I felt it essential to have to take a methodical approach of, going through each lot, making sure they were counted, and then obviously they have to be merged with my own inventory, and possibly move in location depending on the amount of space that I had my own stock in. Now, with the integration, that's taken me from 325,000 items in stock to currently sitting at around 650,000. Now, there's still almost 200,000 catalogued parts still to add to the store. As I said, it does take a lot of time. But on top of that, there's lots of other things still to list, including the 350k of bulk that I mentioned earlier. Now, despite some people's fears of not having enough room, I still have tons of empty drawers and organisers. Again, just look at the organisers behind me, all unused at the moment. And somehow, I seem to have more room than I even started with. I've got lots of drawers that in my old existing organisers, especially in the new parts section, which are empty and waiting for new parts to go in there. Now, the other thing that buying the store did for me was it gave me a new lease of life, to be honest. It brought in more sales. It's given me more interest in the store, having to think about all the logistical things, the organizational things, the approach to adding the store just gave me a bit of a lift, put a spring in my step, and hopefully that shows. And it allowed me, obviously, to show more content in the vlog, which was another factor, to be honest, in buying the store. I actually thought about, this will make good vlog content. People will be interested to see the progress, see the journey, and I think that's proven to be true. Now, that brings me on to the vlogs, and one of the other good things about the year is maintaining the vlog schedule, because I've had periods in the past where I have been a bit lax with content. At the start of my channel, a lot of it was built around Lego hauls and things. And as I stopped buying Lego, I just didn't have the content, to be honest. So I transitioned over to a more of a vlog style approach, and at this time of filming, I've done over 70 consecutive weeks of putting a vlog out there. So I'm happy that I've been able to put a vlog out every single week this year, or a video out every single week, and I think that's been a good thing for me. It's sometimes a challenge, it's not always easy to get things recorded and get them out on time, but it's good to see that people look forward to seeing them, and they seem to enjoy the content. I often get asked to put more content out there, and I don't really feel that I can put more vlog content out there. There just isn't enough of interest going on in the week. At least that's how I feel. But I do hope to bring some slightly more varied content throughout the coming year, and this video is kind of part of that, I guess. Now, one other big thing for me this year that's worked really well is, and I guess this started before this year, but this is the first sort of full year I've had of it, and that was transitioning over to Brick Freedom from Bricklink. this has honestly been one of the best moves I could have made. Yes, there's an expense to it. You know, it's 1% of all of your sales. I get that. None of us like paying for things, especially when there are, you know, free alternatives like Bricklink. But the use between the two is absolutely night and day, and some of the features of Brick Freedom are just such a game changer. The picking sheet's fantastic. It really improves, you know, my picking process, makes it much easier. And the changes that Brick Freedom have made to their new picker are just fantastic. You know, the things you can do in terms of, you know, being able to mark certain items as missing and things like that, add comments, and you know, it's just really makes the process more enjoyable. Now, Steve, who runs Brick Freedom, has gone full time in the past year, so I'm expecting more exciting developments as he has more time to work on the platform. And I really think it's a great tool. Now, if any of you fancy trying it, I have a link below, and you can get 14 free days fees if you fancy using that at all. But I will come on to a blog post I wrote about syncing as well. And honestly, I think I'm not just saying this to try and get people to click the links or whatever. It's absolutely the best syncing tool out there, in my opinion. Now, the next good thing for me on a personal level was new equipment. While it's not specifically store related, I've been waiting for many years to upgrade my existing computer system. I'm an Apple fanboy, unashamedly, and I had a 27-inch iMac that I'd been using, which wasn't bad, you know, but was getting a little bit sluggish at times with certain things, especially things like the video editing and stuff. And when Apple introduced the new Mac Studio and the new Mac Studio display, I jumped in with both feet. And I'd been saving up for a while with Christmas money, birthday money, things like that. And I certainly don't regret it. I mean, it's like any craftsman, it's nice to have good tools to work on, and I really appreciate using them every day. Now, also got a few other tools. The Stream Deck, I love. You'll have seen that in several of my videos, and that really helps me sort of, you know, streamline some of my processes and automate things a little bit as well. Now, still on the good, YouTube's been pretty good for me this year. Pretty steady progress. You know, we're not the kind of channel that's going to grow and have, you know, millions of subscribers, etc. I'm under no illusions about that, and that's not really the intent. The intent is more just to share my experience with you, other sellers in particular. I know the buyers watch this, and that's fantastic as well, but it's really just to share my experiences. But the channel has grown by about 1,000 subscribers, but it's actually more about watch time, and the watch time's gone up enormously. And purchase in the store, as I mentioned earlier, has had a really positive impact on that, and it's probably increased the YouTube income threefold or so. Now, another thing is my website. I did redevelop my website and give it a more cleaner, more professional look. And to go with that, I started a blog and hosted that on the website, wrote some lengthy articles, one about the syncing, for instance, that I mentioned earlier, comparing the various syncing options. And that was going really well. But it does lead me on to the bad. And the bad is also the blog, because I started the blog with a full intention of growing it rapidly, putting a lot of time and effort into it, and becoming a really useful resource for other wannabe sellers. Unfortunately, I just got it started, just as I was buying the Brick Pickers store, and in the end, all my efforts just got diverted to integrating the store as quickly as possible, and I've effectively had to put the blog on ice for a while, but hopefully we'll come back to that. Now, another bad thing for me is accounting, or more specifically, QuickBooks. And I'd been using QuickBooks for a while and actually really like it. But as I got close to submitting my tax return, it seemed to throw more problems at me than solutions. So, for instance, I have all of my accounts synced up to it. So I had eBay, my bank accounts, PayPal, Stripe, and they all automatically updated QuickBooks. But the problem was there were lots of anomalies. Stripe, for instance, would be passing in the net value of the order. In other words, what I received minus the fee, which isn't really what you need for accounting. You need to be recording the full sale so that you know your total income, and then the fee should be coming off as an expense, and it wasn't doing that. And things like that were just tripping me over time and time again. And in the end, I found it was just easier to revert back to the spreadsheet that I'd used the year before, and ultimately it took far less time to complete. Now, at the moment, I still have a QuickBooks subscription in case of any queries because of all of the data that I've got in there. But once I don't need that for completing the tax return, which is still in progress, then I'm going to save myself the £10 a month. Now, another bad thing for me has been eBay. I really feel like it's been a missed opportunity for me this year. With the store acquisition, I've tended to neglect it somewhat, and traditionally it's been a place where I've put new minifigures and sealed sets, and with the downturn in my spending, I just haven't really been getting those new things to list as much. I really must put more effort into getting my used minifigures on there and broaden my other listings. I know what to do. I know how to do it. I know I should be listing 10 items a day, and how that'll affect my, how the platform sees me and will raise my things to the top, raise my listings to the top, etc. I do know the theory of it all. It's just getting it into my regular routine to get that done. And that also leads to another failing, which is my daily schedule. At the start of last year, I created a daily schedule and I wanted to follow. I'd blocked out time for, parting out or sorting used stuff, uploading, things like that. But I have to say, in the end, I just didn't stick to it. Being your own boss, if you like, one of the biggest advantages is doing what you want. And sometimes I'd get to something scheduled and I think, "Oh, I just didn't fancy that." And in the end, I would sit and do something else. Like, for instance, if I'd had a really busy Monday picking orders, I felt like on Tuesday I wanted a couple of easy hours where I could do something just sat at my desk. And although I could have built that into the schedule, it it was just something that was rigid, and I didn't find myself sticking to it. Now, similarly, I'd planned to be much better at my social media this year, and again, I just haven't done it. I just find it's too much of a chore, if you like, to juggle all of these different things that you've got to do. You've got your, not only you're picking orders, you're putting stuff in the store, you've got your admin, you've got your marketing, you've got your eBay, you got your accounting, you name it. There's just so much going on, and only so many hours in the day. So that is something I continue to struggle with. Now, one of the biggest impacts on the store, to be honest, was cash flow. and it continues to be a problem. I can't stress enough how different it is running a store full time versus running it as a hobby. Um, as a hobby, you typically are going to be reinvesting everything you make into growing the store. Buying new stock is pretty easy because you've got your wage from your employer coming in, that's paying all your bills, buying all your food, fixing the car, whatever it might be, and then whatever you're making on selling Lego, you're ploughing back into the store. But being full time means that you have to pay the mortgage out of what you're selling. You have to pay for your car. You have to put petrol in it. You've got to feed the family. You've got to buy Christmas presents. You name it. So you know I have a set amount that I need to each month to even break even and to keep the wheels turning. And quite often some months you just don't even make that, to be honest. So it can be a real challenge, which means you don't have free funds available um, to go and spend on the deals that are around, etc. And quite honestly, in a lot of ways, because I don't really have the money, the free money to be spending, then I just don't even look. I just don't even look for deals. I don't even really monitor what new Lego sets are coming out. Some of you will probably find that incredible, but it's just the way it is. If I haven't got the money to spend, why do I want to go out there tempting myself and think, oh God, I could have got this, I could have got that. It's just crazy. Now, of course, you'll be wondering then how I managed to buy such a large store. But that was bought with money outside of the business. It was bought from my own personal savings as an investment into the business. So, in effect, I've invested a sum of money from my own personal finances into the business. The business didn't pay for the store purchase. Now, hopefully, it in time it will pay me back. But it's just one of them things. So cash flow continues to be a problem, even now, really, with the increased inventory, etc. It's still difficult, which leads me on to the ugly. And in recent times, we've had some unprecedented periods. We've had the highs of COVID, where everyone was buying lots of Lego because they were stuck at home and they were building things. But this year we've had the current economic crisis, still in the middle of that. And as a result, sales have been pretty low in general throughout the year. Now, I've come into some criticism personally about that, the fact that I would highlight how low sales were, etc., and it seemed like I was moaning all of the time. But the the problem is that was the reality. I don't know what else I can say. If sales are poor and that's how you make your living, it's a problem. And that was probably the worst thing for me this year. It's difficult to tell just how bad things have been, because with me buying the store, increasing my inventory, it's really not easy to compare like for like. Now I've got twice the inventory I had before, so it's not really easy to compare how I'm doing now, or how the two relate. I just wanted to mention that that was one of the worst things for me. Now, also in recent years, we've seen lots of barriers making life difficult for sellers. First, it was Brexit, the impact on customs, then VAT being applied to European orders, which make it more expensive for people to buy from Europe. Then this year, we got what I think is the most ridiculous of them all, which is the German Packaging Act. And this act requires you to predict the amount of waste products you're going to be sending into Germany and then pay a fee based on that amount. And it's a really tedious process, adds unnecessary barrier in my opinion for small sellers. Fine, I understand it if you're a huge manufacturer and you're shipping containers full of a certain product, but as an individual who sends, the odd parcel here and there to Germany, I just think it's crazy. And unfortunately, I have heard that other countries are considering adopting a similar approach. Now, I must admit, I did sign up for the German Packaging Act. In fact, I've just renewed it for 2023. So I am still selling to Germany. And I see it just as a necessary cost. It's no point cutting these countries off just because it gets a little bit difficult. I understand that lots of you now don't sell to Germany, and that's fine. If it's just too much hassle for you as a hobby seller or whatever, then absolutely fine. But as a full-time seller, it's absolutely essential that I leave all channels open, so that I'm not preventing a sale. Now, the other ugly thing for me, but probably the last ugly thing, is Royal Mail strikes. They've just probably killed sales or halved sales at least over the last couple of months. Now, I've been really lucky in that I haven't been impacted too much by losses and super late deliveries and things like that, but I know that lots of other sellers have been impacted. Where I think I felt the impact more is again through reduced sales, because buyers just don't want to run the risk of their item taking weeks to show up or getting lost altogether. And I really think it's had a negative impact. Now, I don't know what the situation is going to be as we move into 2023. There are no more planned strike days at the moment, but I'm sure that the unions are going to be balloting the members again for a decision on strike action in 2023. So we'll just have to monitor how that goes. So in summary, for the year, it's been a year of ups and downs, to be honest. The summer was a very low period for me, with sales being bad, motivation was low, cash flow was low, and I really found it difficult to get excited about things. The acquisition of the Brickpickers UK store really turned that around for me, gave me more interest, more purpose, more sales, and something to build on. And it's also meant that realistically, besides what I had to spend on the store, there should be no more need for me to spend money on stock for quite some time. Now, like last year's review, though, I need to remind everybody that my situation may be very different to yours. Given my age, running a store, or at least needing it to support me, is a relatively short to medium term situation as I look to move into retirement. I have a career behind me. I've, paid lots of money into my various pensions that will come to fruition before long. But I'd kind of be a little concerned being a much younger full-time seller who not only has to do all of the things I mentioned, put the food on the table, pay the mortgage, etc., but also be saving for your future. Putting into pensions and things like that is, something that I think would be a real challenge. But of course, it all depends on what your expectations are, what your standards of living are, and what those living costs are, whether you're buying, renting, in some cases, some younger people might even still be, living with parents or whatever. So everybody's different. This is purely my perspective. So anyway, that's about it. I hope you found this useful. If you did, I'd really appreciate if you could take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Remember to check out last year's review for more context. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.